Hi everyone. This is Ranmay here on your show E-Coffee with Experts. Today we have Patrice Valentine, who is the owner of ProFusion Web Solutions, a web design and digital marketing agency headquartered out of Washington. Welcome, Patrice, to our show.
Thanks, Ranmay. It's nice to be here.
Thank you for taking out time, Patrice. And before we move on and talk about SEO, digital marketing at large, I'd request you to introduce yourself and what do you do at ProFusion Web Solutions for our
Sure.
audiences tonight.
Yeah, my name is, like I said, Patrice Valentine. I am the owner at ProFusion Web Solutions. We are a full service digital marketing agency. So whether you're coming to us and you need a new website or you have a website and you just need some marketing services, we can help with hosting, design, social media, email marketing, SEO, and pay-per-click. Really anything you need to promote your business online, we can handle. We do copywriting, design, the whole suite of services because we know that most small business owners are far too busy to try and figure all this stuff out on their own. So we try and step in and be the marketing department that they can't afford or want just a creative outlet that's not so involved in their day-to-day basis. And we take on that role for the business owner.
Well, so Patrice, can you share with us your leadership philosophy and how it has contributed to the success of Profusion?
Yeah. So for us, we hire really great people. So folks that we have working with us at Profusion, I try and not be the smartest person in the room ever. So we hire people who know more about design, who know more about development, who can talk about marketing. And really, I think that our success has come down to we really try and look at how can we get to your customer. So if you sold baked goods, I would want to know who's buying the baked goods. Why are they buying them? Is there a special occasion for them? We really get into the head of the consumer and then we use that to fuel all of our marketing. We make sure that everyone that we work with, so all of our employees and our customers are running that same philosophy. So we really look at things from a client and their consumer's point of view. And then we just make sure that everybody on our team has that same philosophy so that we're always doing what's right by the customer.
Very well said, even when you mentioned understanding the buyer philosophy, because we see a lot of digital marketing which focuses on bringing that lead to the website and making that the purchase or the revenue conversion happens. But why it happens is something
Yeah.
that helps you make those repeat purchases. So it's very important
Right.
to focus on that as well.
And a lot of times a business owner, they have an idea in their head on what they want to say. We have to sometimes be their gut check on maybe our customer is not, they don't care about that. That's not what their pain point is. That's not what they're feeling when they're coming to your website to find a solution or when they're coming to your Facebook page or reading your reviews. So there are a lot of uncomfortable conversations at times and we have to be
Yeah.
that kind of voice of reason to say, okay, but what is your consumer really looking for? What are their real pain points? What solutions do you offer? What problems do you solve? So that's really the things we're looking at. And like you said, when we drive someone to the website, we want them to take action. And what that action is purchase or a phone call or a completing the form or signing up for a newsletter, whatever that little transaction is, that's our goal at the end of the day is to get more people to contact the business. Some hard conversations at times, but certainly our end goal is to make the business more successful.
Yeah, business owners are an emotional lot. So they will obviously
Yes.
want to look at it the way that they are looking at their business, but it's not the case always. Consumers have
Yeah.
their
And
own
marketing,
way of looking at things. Yeah.
yeah. And marketing is a hard thing to outsource, right? Because especially we worked with businesses from, they'll be, one of our clients makes beads, like handmade beads and sells them at the farmer's market. So what she's thinking on her business at a small level is very different from the Fortune 500 executive that I'm talking to on my very next phone calls. Marketing can be hard in that it is a little bit like sharing your new baby with the world and hoping someone doesn't come across and be like, oh, your baby's ugly. What did you do? We have to make sure that we're speaking to these folks in a way that helps them, that encourages them, that helps them understand that we understand. And we do that by there's a lot of question asking. And when we go into conversations with clients, I think people think that I'm going to ask them like, what technology do you want us to code your website in? And what plugins do you want to use? And we don't have those kind of conversations at all. Our conversations are all like, what are the goals of your website? What do you want people to do when they get to your website? What's your personality? What do you want people to feel when they're coming to your site? When they leave your site or when they finish a transaction with your business, what do they want? What do you want them to feel? And those are the kinds of questions we ask because ultimately that storytelling and that feeling is way more important than what technology we're using. Obviously, we want to connect to any systems you have, but ours is a marketing first kind of conversion focused approach, not a technology approach.
And then has this happened with you when you sit down with the founders, business owners, because this happens with me a lot. When you actually go ahead and ask those tough questions or questions which takes them out of their comfort zone, times it happens that they really do not have answers to them. Okay.
Yeah.
They might not have thought up to that level about their own business. And when you
Right.
ask those questions, they actually go back to the drawing board and take time off and then think it through. So does that happen with you as well?
It does for sure. And a lot of times it has to be someone else from within the business. So if it's not the business owner, and even if it's a small one person shop that we're dealing with, a lot of the times, like if we're sitting with a husband wife situation and the wife is a business owner, she'll oftentimes have her husband sitting in. And there's times where she'll give an answer and he'll give a completely different answer. And it's all just based out on their personal perspectives, right? Because we all see the world differently. So the way I interpret something and the way I see something is going to be very different than the way you see it. So it
Right.
is really interesting when we talk to business owners and maybe their employees or managers are with them to see the different answers that we get. And again, it's our job to read between the lines
Yeah.
and pull out information that maybe they don't know, right? But maybe they're having a conversation with us and we're talking about their business and we're talking about, how they even got to be the business owner. Cause I don't know about you, but my path to business ownership was not linear. It went like zigzagged and all over the place. And now here we are. But I have a degree in psychology. I don't have a degree in design or marketing. It just turned out that I loved talking to business owners. I love hearing about how you opened your business. We love knowing what your customer loves about you and why you're better and different than your competitor. And that's the kind of stuff that we take and then put that on their website. So a lot of it is if I ask a website owner, hey, what's the goal, or a business owner, what's the goal of your website? And they're like, gosh, I don't really know. I just want the phone to ring. Then the next answer is going to have to be, what's going to make the phone ring? What do people need to know in
Right.
order to have them say, okay, this is clearly the right business for me. Let's get their phone to ring. A lot of it is just conversational. It's not just a checklist that we have. It is just getting to know the business and the business owner.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And customer experience also plays a very important role. So, what do you think are few critical factors in creating a positive customer experience, and how do you ensure that this factor is consistently met across the
Yeah.
customer touch points?
Yeah. That's a good question. I'll give you the technology answer and then the feel good answer as well. User experience right now, we have to look at it. When I first started this business 20 years ago, we never thought about designing for a cell phone, right? That's not something we ever even looked at. But now we have to look at if we're creating a website and you can purchase something on this website, or even if someone's just going to fill out a form, what is it going to look like on a teeny tiny little 300 pixel wide screen? And that is something we never had to think about. We were thinking about what it's going to look like on a 6,000 pixel. This one, we have to look at it. What's it going to be like and what's the user experience on a small screen? So technology speaking, we have to make sure that when we're creating something user friendly, no matter who's using it and no matter what they're using to view the site. That, and we include a lot of ADA considerations. So making sure that the website is accessible, bless you. Make sure the website is accessible, that it can be easily used and navigated by someone who might be using screen reader software. So we're really into creating a really kind internet that is accessible by all. So that's from the technological side of things. We make sure that it's completely usable. There's no problems tapping buttons or no problems reading the font sizes or colors or anything on a handheld device. But then from a kind of more design point of view, we really want to make sure that when someone hits the website, we'll just use a website, for example, in this one. When someone hits your website, I want them to feel like, oh, finally, this business understands my needs. This is what I've been looking for.
Yeah.
And then we just bring them on a journey. So if they feel like they land on the page and they're like, yes, finally, Patrice's company can help me, then boom, I don't want them to wonder, hey, I wonder what I should do next. It should be very clear. Okay, this is where I should be. Now I want to either learn more or I want to request a quote or I want to schedule a phone call. We want to make all those options available to anyone that's coming to the site so that they feel seen, they feel heard, and then they know what to do next.
Yeah. Actually, planning that customer journey on a website is so critical. We all talk about backlinks from third party websites to get you that traffic. It's so important to focus on your internal linking as well, because it enhances the overall customer journey and their overall experience in terms of, like you mentioned, feeling heard. And so
Mhm.
that I'm there and this is what I was looking for across five different websites, maybe. Yeah. And then what are some of the ways that you feel marketeers can enhance the overall buying journey of consumers?
Yeah, I think just answering questions as a marketer, that's our number one job, right? It's just making sure that if a consumer has a question, they have a way to find their answer. And if it's in an FAQ section on the site, if it's in an informational video, if it's in a cool infographic, however the information needs to be presented, it's our job to answer the question and then get the user to make a phone call. So it's educate and then act is what we help them do. And as marketers, I feel like sometimes we overcomplicate things, or I see people overcomplicating it to where they try and get too cute. They try and get too flashy. And for some brands that have really big budgets, it works really well. But we're typically dealing with small businesses that don't have huge extra marketing budgets that are really just looking to make an impact for their existing customers. So either increase their average order value, increase loyalty from customers, or bring on new customers. And really, we have to be great stewards of their budgets and make sure that we're not wasting a dollar of their marketing budget. So for us, we attempt to not overcomplicate. We look at, okay, how can we answer questions? How can we gather data? So if someone's coming to the website, how can I get you to give me your first name, last name, and email address? How can I get you to take that next step? And again, I think people sometimes overcomplicate it by trying to be too cute or too clever. And really, it should just be a straightforward process. Tell the customer what they need to know and how to then take that next step. It should be pretty straightforward.
Yeah, rather than it looking or sounding really jazzy, flashy, we all get into that sort of thing. And when we ourselves do a search, we just want it to be right in front of our eyes and in the
Yeah.
most simplest of ways possible. But as marketers, like you very aptly mentioned, try and make it look complicated just so that it looks flashy in front of our eyes,
Yeah.
looks catchy. And we feel that it's a job. We're getting paid for it. We are not supposed to
Right.
make it look simple. So,
Right. But sometimes simple is so hard, right? Sometimes we'll have clients where I'm like, there's a couple clients that honestly, I don't know. I couldn't tell you how they create what they create. I just know what their customer needs to know in order to make a decision. And so we try and dumb it down as much as we can so that any person that my fifth grader would be able to come in here and read the website, be like, oh, okay, I have an idea what that industrial manufacturer does. And I can tell who their client. We really try and break it down to make it simple.
I was speaking with a client of ours. So it's like a higher ed university client, right? And it says about a big post, a big landing page. It talks about find a purpose. There's nothing after that.
That's
How can
stressful. That's stressful.
I-
So, tell me how.
you have to engage the consumer or the customer through that journey, right?
Yeah.
For that, you need to fill it with content which is engaging, not confusing, because you're
Yeah.
supposed to find me a purpose. So
Right.
it has to be simple. And we all,
Yes.
like you mentioned, we all try and complicate it so that it looks more jazzy, more something which is out of this world when it does not need to be that way at all times.
Right.
Right. And talking about social media and the generation of leads that we get from
Yeah.
social media, difficult not to work on your social media platforms or engagement and avoid the kind of volume that we get from there. So, as per you, what role does content play in social media engagement? And how do you ensure that content that you present on social media resonates with your target audiences?
Yeah. Again, great question. I feel like this all kind of has a similar thread of what I'm saying this into these questions, but our key social media items are going to be, I think people try so hard to go viral, and that's not like going viral and getting, if I told you, hey, your video had 1 million views, congratulations, you hit 1 million. And not one of those 1 million people were in your target audience, and not one of those 1 million people purchased from you, then who cares? Yeah, if it didn't move the needle for your business, and who cares how many views
Yeah.
you got? Who cares how many followers you have? So for us, when we look at social media, we throw out vanity, we consider vanity metrics. So I don't care the number of followers. I don't care the number of views. What I care is, did I make a difference to one person today? To one of my customers or to one of the people that are in my audience? Did I make a difference to them? Did I answer questions? Did I get them thinking differently about a situation that they're in? Did I help them reach a goal? Did I give them a tip that might have saved them 10 minutes in their day? When we're doing social media for ourselves or for clients, that's how we take the approach. That we provide them a little bit of entertainment. Because honestly, don't most of us go to social media to be somewhat entertained and check out from our regular life, right? It's our distraction, right? So if I have a busy day full of meetings, then maybe I'll spend 10 minutes on Instagram, just mindlessly scroll through to do a little bit of downtime. Do I want to I want to see something that's going to be relevant to me, that's going to maybe something about my kids or a business problem that I'm having. If there's something about Google Ads, which we were talking about offline, if there's a tip on Google Ads, it might be like, oh, great. Look at someone's explaining this little bit of nugget to me that I have no idea how to figure out on my own.
Mm.
So for us, social media to keep the content relevant, again, always look at it through your customer's point of view. Is what you're posting relevant and meaningful to the customer? Or is it serving your own ego? Because if it's ego driven, it's not going to be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And finding that we have got recently is a lot of footfall happens through multiple social forums, but a lot of clients are actually worried about the revenue side of it. A lot of footfall coming to your website through, let's say, Google Ads,
Yeah.
Facebook ads, or other mediums, right? But what is happening after that? What is the CTA after that? Is the phone
Yeah.
call actually, is your phone ringing? Is your mailbox getting bombarded with purchase messages, or
Yeah.
uh, are you actually getting that final product purchase or service purchase, whatever your final call to action is happening? Maybe the answer is no. You might have got 1,000 people visiting your website, but the action that you want them to make is not happening.
Then who cares? Like, then great. You have a
Yeah,
thousand people that have seen it, but they didn't do anything. So it
absolutely.
doesn't matter. Yeah.
I go to your business, but I don't take your service. What's the point? You're
Exactly
standing up
right.
there, and then you're paying for it, mind it. At the end of the day,
Yes.
you're paying for
Yep.
it. You're running ads.
I think that's got to be one of the fears of business owners, right? Is to them social media and especially paid social media or paid Google ads is like a little black box that they don't have any idea what
Yeah,
goes on in there. It's just like some secret sauce that's being mixed up. And it's again, as a marketer, I feel like it's our job to have some level of transparency to say, okay, here are the words that we're bidding on. Here are the search phrases that brought people to your website. Some of them are completely irrelevant. So let's take those completely out of the mix. But I don't think marketing needs to be this mysterious, like we have the secret sauce and we're the only ones who know the ingredients, how to do it. Marketing it is some trial and error. It's testing. It is putting content up there that sometimes might not work for your client. And then sometimes you might have some content that is great, but it is something that it has to be actively managed. There are some evergreen marketing techniques, online webinars that people can sign up for. If there's a PDF download or some level of a lead funnel type thing that will help and be really beneficial for your clients. But for the most part, marketing is active. It does need to be babysat. It needs to be monitored. It needs to be freshened up occasionally. So it's not something that you can do to set it and forget it and hope that it keeps to work for the rest of your life.
yeah, absolutely. And as marketers, that is where our role also lies in terms of educating the customer. At times, customers walk in with certain budget and they feel that if they pour in that sort of money, the results are going to come without even
Yeah.
understanding where the competition is. And for them to be reaching there, you need certain amount of time, consistent amount of marketing investment, not in terms of money, but in terms of going through the grind, right? And
Yeah.
it's going to take some time. It's not going to happen overnight, irrespective of the kind of money that you wish to pour in. And sometimes these are like small businesses who feel that if we invest in this, is the result. They don't look at the
Yeah.
journey. That is where, us as marketers, us as specialists, we should educate them that this is probably not the right time to either do it, or
Yeah.
maybe this is not the right strategy. Just because ABC is doing that does not mean it is going
Yeah.
to for you. You maybe
Right.
start from a different niche and all of that. So
Yeah.
educating business owners as the specialists in marketing segment is also the responsibility of us as marketers. That's what
Yeah.
I personally believe in.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And a lot of folks, they've heard of Google Ads, they know they need to be on social media, but they don't know what they should be doing. So they are looking to us to say, okay, I know I need to be doing all of these things. I'm not doing them. How can I start? And so we look at phased in approaches too, is where are you going to get the biggest bang for your buck to start off with? And we look a lot of the times at building that email list. So it is on Facebook. If you have 1,000 people that say they like you, if you organically post them, between 1.2 and 2.2% of those people are actually going to see your post. It's not a huge number, even though they've raised their hands and they say, I like ProFusion, or only a few people are organically going to see that. From us, we look at, okay, how do we get those 1,000 people to go to our website to give us their email address so that in the event, let's say Facebook is just like, you know what? We're going to take down the ProFusion page. We don't want to have that up anymore. That's happened to a couple of clients that have come to us have had their Facebook page at 25,000 fans on Facebook or followers on Facebook. Facebook said they violated some policy, shut them down. So they had completely no visibility into those 25,000 people that said they liked that company. And you've dealt with Facebook before, trying to get them to answer a question on why did you take my page down? They're like, we can't tell you, but
Right.
I need to know how I can fix it. Good luck fixing it. They don't give you information on how to get your page back up. They're very hard to deal with in that perspective. So for us, it's how do we get those people to give us their email address or their contact information? So in the event that we no longer have these social media platforms, we can still get our information out to them if they choose to receive it. That's how we look at things too, and making sure that we own the data for the client so that we have that. We can continue to market to them in the event that a social media or Google, something happens, we still want to have that client data.
Yeah, that's a very valid point there. Yeah, that's a very valid point. And we're talking about SEO. So if any new
Mhm.
client comes to you, and or probably let's take a case wherein you're pitching to a new client, you obviously do a SEO audit. So as per you, what are the important metrics that one should look at while doing SEO audit and a keyword research for that matter? How do you
Yeah.
think that one should go about doing it?
Yeah, that again, that's a good question. So for us, we get initial thoughts from keywords from the customer. So I'm always interested to hear what a business owner thinks people are looking for when they're finding their website. So our initial list always comes from the customer, and then it's our job to gut check it and see what are people really looking for and what spins on those keywords. Or the business owner might use some terminology or some vernacular that just the everyday searcher just isn't using to find the site. So we do a really heavy keyword focus to make sure that we're optimizing for keywords that are going to be meaningful and that we feel like we can have some success in. So if I have a small mom and pop shop and they want to be found for just a keyword that is just so broad, like bookstore, right? If we have a small bookstore here locally and they have a super small budget and they want to be found for the words bookstore, Amazon is going to buy up every single one of those keywords, and they're very likely going to have all of the rank one, position one, anything related to that is going to be owned by someone much larger than the company we're working with. We're really good about setting expectations and making sure that if we are doing some organic optimization, that we're optimizing for keywords that make sense and that we can actually feel like we're going to gain some traction on without having them spend a ton in ads if we have to go that route.
Absolutely. It's along the customers has have to be aware about it before setting foot
Yeah.
onto that route. And then before we let you go, Patrice, we would like to understand your opinion on brand campaigns versus conversion campaigns, or
Yeah.
one should run both hand in hand. What is your take on it? It's branding campaign versus conversion campaigns, or
Yeah.
run or go hand in hand?
Yeah. Again, so I'm going to default to the customer on this one. If we're running an ad campaign, I'm gonna bid on my own company name for sure. So for us, when you say brand campaign, I'll just define it a bit for anyone who might not be familiar to make sure we're on the same page. But for us, a brand campaign would my company name is ProFusion Web Solutions. Do I bid on my own company name, on my competitors' names, and do all of that to make sure that if someone is looking by brand for us? For me, you'll hear people say you don't need to bid on your own company name because you're already coming up rank one, position one. However, I do know that our competitors are also bidding on my keyword or on my company name. So I want to make sure that my ad comes up first. Even if they see my company twice, so be it. They'll see my ad first and then they'll see us ranked organically. And I have no problem with that. Even if I have to pay the dollar or $2 if they click on the ad and not on the organic, I don't care. They're still looking for me and coming to me. That's what I want. For other campaigns, we're looking at keywords again, specifically speaking for Google Ads. We tend to talk to our customers about top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, right? So top of funnel keywords are going to be something like best web developer near me. So their intent is there. They're looking for a web developer, but how close to if we're looking at the buying cycle and one side is, I'm ready to buy right now, this minute, here's my credit card number. There's a good section of folks that are on the far other side of that are simply beginning their research. And I don't want to pay a bunch of money to be the people's research. I would be willing to pay a bunch of money for the folks that are in the buy now category, those people with their intent. So if there is someone who's looking for, uh, 48-hour website development developer near me or something like that to where I know they need something right now, I'm going to bid all day long on those keywords because their intent is to purchase right now. Somewhere in the middle, I'd be willing to bid something if they're looking for reviews for web developer near me or something like that. I'd be willing to bid on that as well. Cause again, it shows they're buying the frame of mind that they're in towards their purchase is getting closer to the buying now. So we go through that whole kind of consultative process with our clients on if we're going to look at purchasing keywords. I am of the mindset I typically will purchase and look at their company name and look at that. Depends on the competitors. If their competitors are massive corporations, if I'm dealing with a software company or a soft drink company and they want to bid on Coca-Cola as their keyword, probably going to tell them not to do that unless their budget is massive. But if they're looking for naturally flavored fizzy water, that might be a keyword we look at because it might be the product they offer. But getting a little too deep into it there. But yeah, so for me, it's going to be client dependent, but we do look at bidding mostly on middle of the funnel or bottom of the funnel where the purchase intent is getting closer to buying now rather than in the education phase where we have little control over what they do next.
So thank you, Patrice, for the insights which you shared tonight with our audience. I'm sure they would have benefited a lot. But before we let you go, I would like to play a rapid fire with you. I hope you're game for
Okay.
it.
Go ahead.
Okay, great. What did you do with your first paycheck?
Oh gosh, let's see. I was 14 years old and I was working at a retirement home. I'm sure I bought some jeans from the Gap, most likely. That's probably what I did with it.
Okay, okay. A favorite sport?
Soccer, football for you. You guys
Football
call
for
it
us.
football. We
Yeah.
call it, yes. Yeah.
Which team do you support, by the way?
So all of my kids play soccer. So I would go with the local teams. I don't watch any of
Ah,
the
okay.
professional. But I had to go professional sports. I'm going to be shocking to everyone who knows me. I'm going to say hockey. I very much enjoyed hockey this season. Seattle, they just got a team called the Kraken. Last year was their first year. Very fun team to watch. So I'll go hockey professional, but for my kids, I got 4 of them. I love watching them play soccer.
Nice. And now, where did you go with for your last vacation?
We just got back from Mexico. We went to Playa del Carmen last in February, so just a couple months ago. We took the kids down there for 10 days and we did zip lining and we did cave diving and exploring and ate a ton of Mexican food. I drank my weight in margaritas and we had a good old time.
Great. And where do we find you on Friday evenings post work?
Oh gosh, I would guess usually Fridays are kind of date nights for my husband and I. So we try and reconnect on Fridays. But there's a ton. So where I live, we have the most amount of breweries per capita. So
Uh-huh.
there's usually we're out having a beer at one of the local breweries or just hanging out at the house with the kids and trying to reconnect to keep everything strong and stable in the family.
That's superb. Great, Patrice. It was really awesome having you on our show. And I'm sure our audiences would have benefited a lot, like I mentioned. And thank you for the valuable insights. We'll try and get hold of you for another detailed episode sometime down the line.
Awesome. I'm going to flip the script on you next time and I'll interview you.